Lessons learned from my Kancamagus Highway experience. I'm glad I got one of these kinds of maps because the GPS was just absolutely terrible out there. It would drop calls or you lose signals to and fro. So get yourself a map. This is the east side. And then this line is the Kancamagus Highway. Now I like this because what I did was I highlighted key areas, having read the description on the other side of the map, so I knew where to concentrate my efforts, because otherwise you're just out wandering around and you want to sort of plan your day. Because from Conway, this is another thing you have to be really careful about. Roads are like a three-pronged road system out there. Nothing's perpendicular, nothing's on a grid. You have to remember these are old paths that got, based on rivers, based on wagon wheel, trains, whatever the commerce was of the day. So nothing makes sense. There's a lot of trees that will overgrow the signage, so you don't see what the speed limit sign is or the directional signs, all that kind of crazy stuff. Or you think you're going straight and you're on the highway, and then you look at the fork on the left or the right, and then you realize, oh, well, if I'm going straight, now I'm on some other completely different highway you don't want to be on. So just know that when you travel on the northeast corridor of the United States, nothing's on a grid system, okay? And it's just really crazy driving, and you just have to get used to it. So get yourself a map, that way you know where you're going. But Conway is definitely your really last place to get gas and food and munchies, especially if you're going along the Kancamagus Highway. They will tell you that there's no gas here. They don't tell you that there's nowhere to stop for like little restaurants or food along the way. So all of this highway to Lincoln is your next biggest town. Takes you at least 2 hours. Now what I did is I did little stops along the way, but based on the descriptions on the other side of the map, you can plan your day, and I like that has the topography there and the elevation and things. So if you are going to go to hike, you can kind of see what you're getting yourself into. Definitely pack bug spray. Know that the water levels go down significantly as the summer evolves, and so if you want to really go and see the waterfalls, like at Lower Falls, Savaday Falls. There's another one that I was going to see, but the parking lot was too busy, so I passed on that. Let's see here. It was between those two. I think it was it was going out on this and then turning around and come back. The Champney Falls. Parking is really limited in the lots. Like the Lower Falls costs $5 for parking, and then that pass allows you to park for the day along any of these places. So it's a good deal. But if the lot is full, then you have to park out here on the highway, and sometimes it gets to be a long parking and not always really safe to pull off and park there either. So if you don't get there early for hiking, then you tend to be out. Or if it's, quite sunny, it's high summertime, go later in the afternoon and do a nice little evening hike, before it gets dark, plan on it, invest on, knowing your time zones and when things get dark, but you either do morning or an afternoon. I found that that's really helpful because you can avoid the crowds. 10 to 3 seems to be the top time that people are traveling and doing activities in the park. That just seems to be the way it rolls. Now, if you go up this way along Highway 3, this Flume Visitor Center, it costs like $20 a person to go in and see that waterfall set in there. But that might be really super cheesy for some, but I really enjoyed the experience. It's a 2-mile hike, pretty strenuous if you do it all in one big jolt. I was in there for about an hour and a half and, still took a lot of pictures and things, but I would say I didn't spend a lot of idle time in there. So an hour would be the fastest that you would zoom through that thing. I would give yourself at least an hour and a half, and that's, pushing it. To be leisurely, you probably would spend 2.5 hours. But this part of New Hampshire that borders Vermont, this Franconian Notch State Park, had I known that it was that beautiful right there and just awe-inspiring, I would have spent a little bit more time there, because the parks to the north, even, that's not on this particular map, but if you go up to like Highway 2, that's all green mountainous hills. But on this side, it's like giant granite boulders with no vegetation on it. So stark, such a contrast. It's just wowifying. So I would spend more time in this area really exploring this piece, because then you're more in Vermont and New Hampshire. You kind of go back and forth between the line along this Interstate 93. Now, it does slow down internet traffic to like 45 miles an hour as the speed limit, because there's a lot of in and out of parking facilities and things in there. But very gorgeous. Really enjoyed my time. Was very impressed with this part of the country.